Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Neuron. I'm Corey Knowles, joined as always by our trusty writer, Grant Harvey.
Hello, hello.
We're coming to you today from Adobe Max 2025 in beautiful downtown Los Angeles, and we have an extra special guest. We're joined today by Ely Greenfield. He is the Chief Technology Officer and Senior VP of Adobe Creative Products, which puts him on top of the entire Creative Suite. And we're here to talk today about some of the great things they've had going and announced this week. Ely, welcome to the Neuron.
Thank you. Very excited to be here as a longtime subscriber. Excited to be here talking to you guys.
That's awesome. Well, you know, I noticed, I guess to start off, there was a real push, it seems like this week, toward practical AI and this idea of maybe consolidation and interconnectedness a little bit between various tools, specifically with Firefly. How are you thinking of this kind of reimagination from a technological standpoint?
Yeah, it's funny. I think you're right that, you know, with what we showed on stage and what we announced this week, it really, you see that connection of all this coming together practically. For us, it's not a new push. I mean, it really is, you know, since we really turned our investments towards focusing on this new wave of Gen AI technology, it has always for us been about, for our customers, you know, for the creative industry, how do we take these amazing tech demos that everybody was seeing and make it actually something practical that they can use in their hands? You know, the ability to type a prompt and generate an image or a video and have it appear out of thin air is amazing. But for our customers, you know, what they need to figure out is how do they put that in their workflow, and how do they make sure they bring their creativity and their craft and their expertise to that, and it becomes another tool in the tool chest. So that's what our investment has been all along. But yeah, I think you're right that with what we showed and announced in the past 2 days, it really is turning a corner where the independent investments that we've made in AI are starting to work their way up into the rest of the platform and the tools, and really starting to show up in workflows and use cases that make our customers go, oh, I see how I can put that to work.
One of my favorite things yesterday was everybody was so excited about all the announcements, but the one that everyone just lost it over was when they talked into a chat agent and said, rename these labels for me, these layers for me.
You know, what's great about this conference, we come to Max every year, and, you know, we've been doing it for, I don't know, 25 years, something like that. We've always been showing off like mind-blowing technology. You can find over the decades videos of Max, and people talk about like Adobe Black Magic, and we have amazing researchers, and we're always very proud of that work. But we come to Max and we show it, and every year there's one feature like that, which is in some ways the most boring, banal application of technology that the crowd goes nuts over, because you know, these are people who live and breathe in these tools all day long, and the creative piece, that's what they love, and the boring management pieces, that's the stuff that you know, it's a major time suck for them. And so it's a good grounding for us to remember application of this stuff to real world problems, and to just the grunt work of applying, you know, the stuff in between the creative pieces. That's how we can serve our community most. So it's great to hear that applause and be like, oh, right, okay, we got to do more of that stuff.
That's right.
Yeah. And there was a lot of those. Like I was particularly surprised by how practical and hands-on a lot of the tools were, where it's like, oh, I can see this being applied in creators' workflows every day. Like, because that was just one of them. There was also Harmonize, which seemed like that was a huge one. And then also, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but the one where now all of a sudden you can automatically map, you know, in Premiere, the individual skater and the skateboard as two different objects. And just no, you know, hours of rotoscoping. It's like already in there. And
you know, it's funny, if you look at the history of development in all of our flagship tools, Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere, After Effects, all of them, you know, we have this well understood core set of tasks to be done for these people and for our customers, and things like being able to accurately select something, or being able to composite two pieces of an image. I mean, you know, Photoshop is a compositing tool. So how do you bring two things together and make them feel like they belong together? Those are they're, you know, new wizard-like technology we're constantly innovating on, but that idea of, you know, correctly select and mask an object, like that's been a core problem statement for our customers for decades, right? Harmonizing two things, that is a core problem statement. And in many ways, again, the research and the technology we put out is always how do we improve that practice and, reduce the time, make it more productive. Gen AI, I kind of like to talk about it as, for 35 years now, the first version of Photoshop, right, sort of invented digital art, digital images, and it was black and white. But other than that, like any image you can make in Photoshop today, you can make back then with a pencil, right? Assuming it's black and white. But back then it was literally, flipping individual bits on. And everything we've done since then is how do we take creative, productivity enhancing technology to sort of elevate that conversation so the human can, invest in their creative work, think about what they want to do, bring their expertise to the table. But the production aspect of it, it's more and more of asking this assistant to realize their vision. And this is kind of another step in that. So all those examples you gave, I think the latest waves of AI give us more opportunities to improve that. And again, help people save more time doing that. But yes, in some ways, the problem statements are not new.
That's also true with the agentic workflows that you've basically integrated into Express and Photoshop. Like the Express demo was really impressive, where basically you're chatting with the assistant, having the assistant do a lot of the editing for you, and then you can take over at any time. And say like, hey, I actually know I can do this faster than you, or that's not exactly what I want, so let me just get in there, tweak it. And it's, down to the layer level.
Yeah.
It was very impressive. To the point where you can even generate custom UI elements, right? Like, that's really cool too. How do you do that?
Black magic. There's a really interesting analogy that I keep, kind of discussing with people. If you look at what's going on in the vibe coding space, right, or I'll say in the AI assisted coding space, there's kind of two ends of that spectrum. There's the pure vibe coding side, which is, hey, you don't have to look at the code, you don't have to think about the code, you're not a coder, you don't care how it's implemented. You just want to be able to talk with the assistant and you get results, you get an app out of it, and it's great. Now, if you don't like what you get, you're kind of out of luck. You can kind of coax the AI the direction you want, but you're not going to get in there and mess with the code yourself, versus the other side of it, which is you're in an IDE, you're writing code, you've got the assistant there, and it's not changing the tools and the structure of what you're working with. You're working with code and projects, but it is there to help you. But it is really a collaborator that you can hand tasks off to it, you can take them back from it, you can dive in and use all of your expertise, and it becomes a partnership or an assistant you hand off to. So I think when you look at the media space, as we look more and more at agentic, we're probably going to see those same two poles. And it's obviously a continuum, but there are people for whom they don't have the production skills. They don't know how to use our tools or how to, or other people's tools. And they may have creativity, they may have idea of what they want, but they're willing to hand it all off to an agent to say, you figure out how to do it. I don't need to know anything about how you do it. Versus those who will say, if you can do this, great, but if not, I'm going to take the reins. And so, again, for a lot of our customers in our flagship tools, that's really what they need, is that idea of, great, if you can help automate the scut work, the repetitive production work, cool, but don't take control away from me in the process.
Right.
Make it additive. We have plenty of customers, for whom that other side is important too, and we're investing in those as well. But for the creative professionals out there, it's that add but don't subtract. That's kind of the philosophy.
Totally. Yeah, because there are a lot of people specifically in the artistic space, above all spaces, I would say even, who are more resistant to AI in their approach and in things they're touching. But I thought it was really interesting and really telling of your understanding of your audience and of the people who use your tools, that this was very much presented as a, let us help you with the mind-numbing awful work. Let us help speed you through the simple stuff.
Yeah.
And allow you, frankly, more time to be creative with any luck.
The creative industry, a lot of people there have had this reaction, which is, whoa, I don't want to go near that stuff. And I think part of the reason of that is because the first, earliest iterations, and for a while, the technology that has been presented has been subtractive to them. Yeah. It has been type a prompt, get an image. Awesome. Yeah. What if I don't like it? You can roll the dice again, but there's a graph that I like to draw, and if we had a marker whiteboard, I could do it. But if you kind of try and graph the time and energy investment you spend in creating a piece of content on the x-axis, and the y-axis is the value of the result, or the quality of the result. You can plot different tools on that, and they all have different curves. And some of them you have to put a lot of time, but you can create anything. Some of them kind of start to top out. I realize, describing a graph is great podcast material, but I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna push through.
AI crawlers. What are we going to do about them? To let them crawl or not to let them crawl? Well, if you are running a small or medium-sized business, you really need to see what other SMB leaders are doing about this. Luckily, Clutch just released this comprehensive new report breaking down exactly how small businesses are navigating AI crawlers, and the results might surprise you. See, Clutch surveyed 320 SMBs to get their reactions, finding 72% of businesses are worried about them, 71% have been hit by bot traffic already, and 42% even cite bandwidth issues coming from AI. But on the flip side, 62% say AI search has been a net positive, with 60% reporting more revenue, 42% more traffic, and 44% more leads. However, 57% are still just blocking AI crawlers entirely. So, digital pests or secret growth hack? Either way, crawlers are here to stay. Just make sure they're working for you, not against you. To dive into the full Clutch report, just click the link in the description or go to clutch.co and search AI crawlers. Again, click the link below or go to clutch.co and search AI crawlers.
The first generation of generative AI media technology, the line kind of looks like this, right?
Yeah,
like
straight across.
You literally spend 2 seconds on it, you get something pretty good, but there's very little you can do to improve that, right? And that's what drives the creative community crazy. It's like, wait, I have all this ability, but I can't get better than what anybody else can get.
Right.
And so you're basically trying to replace me with this thing. So that's just not helpful to them. So our whole focus is, how do we put a graph in that line that starts them up nice and high, but gives them the ability to shoot to the moon way faster than they could have with previous generations of tools, and knowing where their destination is because they've got that creative ability, because they've got that expertise on what content do you want to achieve this goal.
With control at the layer level, which to me has always been the flaw of generative AI, is that like, okay, this is great that I can make an image out of nowhere, but I can't manipulate this person's hand and make it go here and there. I watched
And the resolution isn't there.
Yeah, the resolution's not there.
Yeah.
Like, and so the generative upscaling that's available with Topaz Labs now in Photoshop.
That's so cool.
That is one of those things that a lot of people are using it already. So having it in there, it's just solving the problem that they have.
I keep joking that is like, I've been watching police procedurals for many, many years where they're like, enhance that image. And they zoom in and they zoom in and they zoom in. And you've got this thing that suddenly is very clear. And I'm like, this is not how images work. That is not real at all. But
it is now.
But it is now.
Yeah, exactly. No, although, everybody, whatever your domain or your industry is, as soon as somebody puts it on TV, you get immediately frustrated because they're like, that's not real. And those of us who've worked in technology and media have been seeing those things for decades, be like, oh, God. And then all of a sudden, somebody's like, no, you're wrong. Actually, it's totally doable. And you're like, oh my God. So
that was my first reaction yesterday. Something else I think you guys called out really well and that you're doing that really sets Adobe apart, and in my opinion shows that you understand your place in the design and artistic industries as a whole, is you promised 3 things yesterday. You promised to continue to develop your own models. You promised to continue to explore good opportunities for partner models to have available in the tool, and you also promised the ability to do your own models and to train your own tools. And I'd love to learn a little more about the thought process that went into that, because that feels like the right approach.
Yeah. That's been a journey we've been on. I'll say when we first, again, rolling back to when we first started thinking about how do we bring generative AI in here, we looked at the models that were out in the world. We looked at other providers and we talked to our customers. And what we heard at first was, basically, none of our customers thought any of the stuff that was out there was something that they could use. And number one reason is for the reason that we've been talking about, is control. It's just not something that we can integrate into workflows well. And number two was, the early models and the first introduction of AI, there were all these questions about the legality of it, the ethics of it, what does it mean, who owns the output, what happens and what it's trained on. And so we looked at both of those and we said, okay, there's a gap in the market here that's not filled, but there's so much value we could provide if we can solve those 2 problems. We need to fill that gap. So we started building models to do that. At the end of the day, right, we don't sell models, we sell tools. We sell, the ability to realize your ideas, sort of the technology that helps you create the content. And so that's always been our driving factor is, okay, what are the things that our customers are going to need? What kind of new capabilities or workflows can we provide for them that meets their requirements? If there's something in the market that's going to meet that, that's great.
Yeah.
We'd love to provide those, and we want to give people the choice of using those.
Yeah.
And if there's not, I have an amazing team of some of the world's best scientists, AI experts, computer vision experts who can then create that future that we want to have happen. And so that's always been our philosophy, and you're just seeing the market develop to the point where, and the technology develop to the point where, great, we can start to offer all those solutions.
Yeah.
So we will absolutely continue to build our own models because that gap in the market still exists.
Yep.
And as we imagine new ways that we can, empower our customers and give them ways to create using technology, we'll need to continue to find those gaps and fill them. Our rocket scientists will continue to figure out how to create that technology.
Yeah.
But there are amazing models out there, and we know that, and we hear it, and we, we're very close with all those other companies building them. And so the more that we can give customers the power of the technology merged with the workflows and the tools that these people, our customers, live and breathe in, that's a win for everybody.
Yeah.
And then that third one is that build your own models, right?
Yeah.
And we've had this technology for a little while. As we've been developing it, we started with just a small number of customers that we worked with, but have now brought it to the point where we can really make it broadly available. And we showed this on stage yesterday, one of our evangelists, who's just this fantastic illustrator, Paul Tranny.
Yeah.
He has all this amazing work he's done over the years, developing his own style, his own look, themes to content. And so again, it is absolutely his unique work and his creativity. But if we can give him the tools to take that, say, let me train a model on this.
Yeah.
And now I can take that concept I've developed and really run with it and see can I use the AI to help me apply this to new layouts, new concepts, new content, new situations, new objects, and really explore the idea further. Again, it's a massive productivity enhancing tool for him.
Yeah.
And just makes him, makes his creativity go that much further. So
Absolutely.
Very excited to make that available to everybody as well.
And he can create multiple different iterations. So if you're a brand and you have like multiple different styles, or you're a contractor, you work for multiple different companies, you can create kind of seemingly infinite different models for your different clients.
Exactly right.
Exactly.
Yeah. No. And if you go, follow any artist, and you'll see them do this. They explore, they develop a style, and then they exploit that style. It sounds like a dirty word, but it's not meant that way.
Explore and exploit. It's like perfectly rational.
Exactly, right? So they come up with a concept and they say, okay, what can I do with this look, this experience? And if you go down, in the conference, we always have a creative park, and there we have a bunch of artists who set up booths and they sell their art, and it's wonderful to go down there and walk through that. And you'll see each one of them will have a style and then a bunch of posters or artwork that they've created that follows that style. And then they have 3 or 4 different looks they've developed and then explored what they can do with it. And so that's exactly, you could create a couple of those and then, sort of take the investment you've made in coming up with this beautiful design or style and run with it.
Are you like now competing with OpenAI for GPUs to train all these? Like where's the training happening?
I mean, we do our training. We have some of our own private cloud, but mostly we work on cloud providers. Cool. We're partners with GCP, AWS, Azure, a bunch of the big cloud providers.
All of the biggies. Yeah.
Yeah. We've been working with all those guys for a while. So, GPUs are always scarce.
Yes.
But we also, very good partners with those guys. So they're often, good and responsive to us. When we need them, we figure out how to get them. Yeah. But,
That's awesome.
the good news is that a lot of these creative models, they are still on a smaller scale than the large LLMs.
Like the big frontier models that are out on the front.
The frontier LLM models.
Yeah.
And that's, so the word frontier can be applied to the image generation models as well. But, usually when we talk about these big language models, the ones that really do all the reasoning, those are typically, at least the frontier ones, are an order of magnitude larger right now than a lot of the media models. So there's still a lot of training involved. There's still a lot of GPUs involved, and those are still hard to come by. But it's not quite at the scale that some of the guys who are building those big language models are.
That's good to
looking for.
know. Something I think is also an interesting call out is that I feel like what we're watching is Firefly go from being a year ago an app barely anyone knew existed. And steadily it's crept up, and now, I don't know, we're not a year in. How long has Firefly been around?
Very complicated answer. We use the name Firefly on many things.
Yes.
The Firefly website, firefly.adobe.com, has probably been around for 2 years now,
Okay.
in various forms. So
What I think is really interesting is that as AI begins to work its way into your platform and make its way into Photoshop and into Premiere and into everywhere over time, presumably, that Firefly is kind of becoming this central element to the cloud now, to Creative Suite, as opposed to this other app we offer.
Yep, that's right. No, it is a central piece of, again, just as AI is yet another creative technology that we are developing to figure out, okay, how can we advantage our customers, our users, our creative community with this? Firefly serves as the center of that. That is, at the core of, in some different ways and at different paces of every type of creative work. Like AI is going to be a part of that, whether it's a little part of it or a big part of it. And Firefly is, the center of how we're developing that.
That's awesome.
So.
Yeah, even to the point where it seems like, you can now go edit full videos directly on the Firefly app. You can generate in one place, and then you have your generation history that you can find and scroll through. It seems like it's very integrated. You even demoed how someone can go to ChatGPT and use Express and work with Firefly through Express.
Yeah.
So that's just, it seems like the ecosystem is all interconnecting at this point.
So the way I think about our AI investment is there's sort of three pillars to it. The core pillar is the raw technology. It's the generation technology, the editing technology, the creative operations and transformations that we want to empower. And that's both ours and, again, partner models and our own customers' models, right? So that's at the core there. And that surfaces up into the kind of the platform that we build, the creative platform that we build. And that is a combination of our asset management and storage systems, our project management and metadata management, which are always been parts of larger scale creative projects. If you work on a team of any size or a project of any size, asset and metadata management is important. Now that metadata is actually not just for tracking, but part of the creative process, right? AI can use that to guide its generation. That becomes a key part of that platform as well.
Totally.
And then the third thing is, the third thing is the agentic piece, right? Is, okay, how do we put the AI on top of that and make it something that can access your content, your generations, your metadata in the platform? And then the fourth piece there is the workflows. And we demoed our project graph node-based authoring system.
Yes.
The technology surfaces up into that platform. And that platform, as you said, is kind of at the core and will surface up into the third pillar, which are the tools, right? Which is both our bread and butter flagship tools that we've had for years that continue to evolve. And then the new tools that we're building on the website at firefly.adobe.com that are sort of taking a different approach, knowing that AI is there at its core and targeting a different audience, people who are not necessarily our flagship users and for whatever reason, they're not going to go learn those things.
Yeah.
Those are showing up as well. And other people's tools and technologies as well, like the agentic portals like ChatGPT. So,
right.
I think that's one of the biggest call-outs for me, too, is that while all of this is like really impressive for professional designers, for professional graphic artists, for everyone in that realm, it also brings a lot of value to people who aren't in that professional role. That, if what you're wanting is, if you dabble, if you have, a small YouTube channel and you're doing little stuff on your own, or maybe
I feel like we always need thumbnails.
God, we always need thumbnails. It's so true. We've already been talking about how we can use this, but I think that having that Express element is really cool and probably serves as a good bridge into the Creative Suite for people as a brand grows, I would think.
It can't, so I think you're exactly right that everyone is a creator now, right? Most
and here we sit,
I can't claim that, but many people have to create for their job, whether your job is 100% based in the content you create, or for other reasons. And so we do have, like, our technologies and our tools now are designed to serve a wide variety of people. Mm-hmm. Some of those people absolutely will want to branch up into the full Creative Cloud.
Yeah,
that's wonderful. plenty of people who won't, and
Yes.
that's fine too, right? Like
Yeah.
we're not developing these tools, the new tools that we're building, whether it's Express or Firefly.adobe.com, as meant to be just on ramps into Creative Cloud,
Yes.
right? The goal is, no, you can be successful here exactly as you said. You need a thumbnail? Great. You don't necessarily need Photoshop for that.
we
you
don't.
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll help you with that too, even if you're not going to go to the granddaddy big, kind of big iron tools.
Exactly. Like our video team and social team absolutely use the bigger tools. But for Grant and I,
Yeah.
in our day-to-day,
we just
the Express and Firefly are excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're kicking off a live stream, with
Yeah.
an
You need
hour's
to throw
notice.
With an
something
hour's
out.
notice, yeah.
Right. Like might have happened this morning, you're saying?
might have
Might have
happened
happened
earlier.
today, we don't know.
That's right. That's right. Well, one last question I'd love to ask you, and we enjoy asking everyone this, is like, what AI tools are you and your team using as far as like in building all of this, with your engineering teams and all of that as well?
Are you vibe coding graph and all this stuff?
So our design team does a bunch of vibe coding. Yeah, so most of our engineers use a mix of different code assistance tools.
Yeah.
Right. Some of them use Cursor, some of them use Claude. There's some of them use GitHub Copilot. Like there's a lot out there.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's others that I can't even think of. But yeah, I mean we obviously we have a large engineering team at Adobe.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Photoshop is 35 years old, so we in some ways have different challenges from other teams.
Yeah.
Because these technologies working on assembly code, that we still have plenty of that driving the core performance loops of Photoshop.
You're rebuilding things that have worked perfectly for many years in some cases to update.
Yeah, when we go and make changes to those, the ability of these coding agents to understand those is different from, hey, I'm throwing together a new web app or mobile app, et cetera. So, but we do use them for most of the development we do. Our design and product management team is using vibe coding tools to explore new ideas. I probably can't off the top of my head tell you which tools they're using, but we are using those. And then we use a variety of chat agents to like everybody else does throughout our day for research, for small amounts of content authoring and communications work. Adobe is a Microsoft Office, Microsoft Exchange email shop, and so we have access to their tools as part of our thing. So
That's great.
It's pretty. And then a lot of my team were all. Here's what I'll say: a large portion of the digital media team at Adobe, and probably Adobe overall, are secret creatives or not so secret creatives, right?
Cool.
That's cool.
I mean, so many people are photographers. Everybody's got some sort of a creative passion. Like a lot of why we all work here, and I've been on and off at Adobe for 30 years. I keep leaving and coming back, and I keep coming back because I love my own rudimentary creative skills, and I love supporting creative skills. So all of these creative AI tools, like there's a lot of usage of those across the employee base just for fun.
Right.
And then the last thing I'll say is we are customer zero, right? Like our marketing teams are huge users of our products. They are the people we guinea pig on. A lot of the features we develop, we develop first as duct tape and bubblegum features that we develop just for their use. And so they're early users of all of the work we've done with Foundry and Firefly Creative Production, which is about how do we do real customization of the AI and scaled out deliver. When we build Max, right, we create the hero assets that are going to get used, and then we have 5,000 variations of those assets we have to create. Right. It's that team that does that. They're our guinea pig for how do we use Gen AI to make that fan out of just resizing and scaling content and changing the colors. Like how do we make that something that happens at scale? We use all those. So.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Where do you see Firefly going from here, and what are you most excited about that you're you announced so many features yesterday and over the past 2 days. Like, what are you personally most excited about, and then where do you see Firefly going, from this point on? Yeah,
so I'd say there's two things there, and it really gets back to the first question you asked, which is Firefly is now starting to turn that corner. It started back when we first built it as like many other Gen AI offers out there. It was a playground, right?
Yeah.
We built this technology, we put it out there for people to play with. You type in a prompt, get an image. That was great. Where we've been going is that explosion out from that single piece to now a collection of useful pieces of the creative process again, whether it's our models or other people's, that then starts to surface up into an integrated platform and into those tools. And so that idea of, I think generative AI, as it becomes an additive, non-subtractive, and atomized piece of the creative process that can be used in lots of ways, it is really evolving to become this platform of new things that is going to grow into, I think, a dramatic reshaping of the creative process for creative people, as they and we together figure out what does that new creative process look like, that still is about executing on the creative person's vision.
Right.
And so that investment in the platform and really kind of creating the infrastructure that these new creative workflows build out of, like, that's, I think, the really exciting sprint that is ahead of us. And out of that will grow new tools. Yeah. So, that idea that anybody can come here and get access to the zero friction new tools that we're building, wonderful. And that is sitting on this underpinning of a platform that can really power, the power users who want to move up to our Creative Cloud tools or move to build their own workflows and really figure out how do they create really unique content and unique styles by recombining these pieces with the sort of Lego building block underneath there. Like, that's incredibly empowering. We've seen it with the early adopters who are putting up with the pain to do this. But if we can get that into the hands of a much broader set of people, like, I think we'll get to this point where it's not so much, oh my God, this stuff is just going to replace me, but I can do so much more with this.
Yes.
So that's what I'm really excited about. And I think we've built the infrastructure to really start to deliver on that going forward.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more.
Same, and I think that's where we're headed.
Awesome.
Eli, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I'm a fanboy, so it's my pleasure to be here.
So are we. So awesome. Glad we could get together.
Great.
To everyone watching, we really appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time. Please, if you have a minute, like and subscribe to the channel. And also pop by the Neuron.ai and sign up for the newsletter. Join 600,000 or so others who read it every morning. Otherwise, that's it for today from Adobe Max. And
check out Firefly, firefly.adobe.com.
Firefly.adobe.com, yeah.
Absolutely. Farewell for now, humans.